Start speaking in 3, 2, 1. Primary and middle school is a phase of the education program that is really important in the children's growth. It will be a basic knowledge for them until they're growing as an adult. And in this age, they are not provided with any of the basic knowledge. So it will be a golden phase for them. Golden pace is if we are not taking this opportunity, it all gonna be wasted. That's why education is matter because it will helping us humans to survive in the future by our knowledge. In the primary and middle school, we still in a growing pace. We learn how to communicate, integrate, and exploring our patient. Before we started studying formally, we are not realizing our talent because example like lack of support. But in school is a place to grow. In every kind of school must be see the potential of every of the students. They know when we are young, we are struggling to know what's our passion and they not gonna let them waste it. So if school can do it, who will? As long as we know education is important, education must be dedicated for all, whatever they come from. Humans have a capability to understand and knowledge because they have a logic unlike other creators, right? Which is, in the statement, we are growing a human intelligence through educations. The intelligence is mainly used in any kind of society field. Intelligence is really important to help us to find our talents and pursuing our dreams in the future. And the most importantly, humans have a unique characteristic that makes them differently from any human. The unique characteristic I say is talent. Might be some kind of human have a same talent, but most likely we have a different one. The capability of human to reach his talent is a process that we can get in a short period. Must be an effort to helping them to know what they good in, right? I will tell you 2 points of my arguments. First, talent is wide, which means we can find our talents everywhere, anywhere, as long as we show our effort to get them. But then again, we need a help to exploring the field in order to find our talents too. And by primary education, we are helping them to explore their talent and growing their potential because we want them to be useful in the future by just using their talent, right? As educational institutions, we give them an opportunity to focus on what they're passionate about and by provide them by facilities and provide a program to whether the knowledge about their talent, helping them to have a relations. But the decisions of them to really using their talents in the future is in their own hands. We can force them to because we don't know what's going to happen in the future when they graduating from primary or middle school. Secondly, how we are worried about their talents gonna be wasted in the future because we are not exploit them well, making us to more maximize our effort and give a much better education quality. Because soonly when they are entering the high school, a different ones will likely happen. Unlike primary and middle school, high school are prioritize their students to be more independent and exploring the talent by themselves. Meanwhile, in primary and middle school, we still have a system like teacher that gonna help us and not only gonna give us the a knowledge. In the high school, the teacher is only focusing to only teach. They don't put any attention to know what's happened to their students. Why in this case we are proposed to grouping the children that is a student in the primary and the middle school with their competency and intelligence because we are know they have a potential that could be bigger in the future. In the other side, are we gonna lose that opportunity and rather grouping them by age? I have a concern that I will say in my speech today. That is why grouping them by age will likely better rather than their competency and intelligence. Imagine you grouping them by age, like when a first grade is student is usually in the age of 7. You put them in the same class. Meanwhile, they have a different kind of intelligence, and you expect that they will easily integrate and unite. Of course not. They will easily disintegrate and fight because this kind of regulation is making them more hardly to expand their intelligence. Everyone have a different intelligence and we can expect them by putting them in the same class will likely better to increase their intelligence. Meanwhile, when the different intelligence exists, I must be a different way to treating them, different approach and different problem exists too. That's why I prefer to put them in the same the same intelligent student in the same class because it will be easier for the teacher to teach and increasing their intelligence because they will have the same condition when they have the same problem, and a teacher must be a different capability too in order to solving the problem in each class. It will be good if we divide them by their intelligence level. As an exception of this regulation, I will give you 3 points. First, if we realize this regulation, we know the risk that sometimes there is injustice in our regulation when where the gifted class or the high intelligence class prioritize to increase their talents rather than unlucky one. But before we divide them by the intelligence, we already had a test. The test is from the official, so we can surely believe the transparency of the test. Test is going to show us how is the potential of every kind of the students. Injustice is not going to happen when in our side, when we are doing check and balance periodically. When we had flaws in our system, we try our best to solve it, and promising it's not going to happen again in the future. You can say it's injustice, but it is just our different way to treat our students based their intelligence. And maybe they had another chance too, so we had to treat them differently, right? Secondly, we are sure that the education gap will not exist, like the upper class versus lower class. Because of the system, we are gonna imply in our regulation. The system is the knockout system, which means you are failed to survive. Let's say you are in a high intelligence class, you are gonna put it in the lower class, which means we create a better competition for them. And the opposite way will happen when the lower intelligent class show their effort to be in the high intelligent class. They will get what is the payback of their effort. Like this, in the conclusion, we treat them different in education but not in their social life. That's what you have to highlight in our argument. Thirdly, if you worry about it will create your children to be more pessimistic because example they are put it in the lower intelligence class, perhaps it will be more likely being optimistic. Optimistic to proving their intelligence are belong in the higher class. I will next to explain why this regulation is really promising in the future if we keep continuing this regulation to be happening in our education society. First, when we have the same treating way, the students are more better to focusing on of what they are passionate. Minimum interference are for them, and no one gonna disturb them to chase their achievements. Secondly, we are going to competition side in each of our students because we know in the status quo right now, life is a competition. Who is qualified will win. Meanwhile, who lose must give a better effort. And thirdly, we create a better education quality because we are maximizing our effort to exploit their intelligence well. Like we are making a better curriculum, create a better education environment, better teacher, and high level facilities and others. In conclusion, we are believing our side when grouping them in competency and intelligence, it would make a better education field because we are growing their competitive side when was already a competition. There is no bias in the regulation when it's gonna give us a promising benefit in the future. I'm proud to oppose.